Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. I am Abigail, sitting alongside the ever-popular John Watson. Thank you for joining me today, John.
No, thank you, Abigail, for having me.
I understand that there's been recent developments in your life and some quotes that have been a little racy in the public eye. Let me just read one of those quotes for you. Give me a dozen healthy infants, well-formed, and my own specified world in which to bring them up in, and I'll guarantee to take any one at random and train him to become any type of specialist I might select: doctor, lawyer, artist, merchant chef, and yes, even beggarman and thief, regardless of his talents, penchants, tendencies, abilities, vocations, and race of his ancestors. Could you tell me how this could even be?
Well, you see, behaviors that seem instinctual are actually socially constructed responses. Therefore, I believe that learning is key to understanding human development, and I deny the idea of instincts and other inherited talents, such as temperaments, etc. Take, for example, a young child. This child is a blank slate, capable of anything and nothing. Therefore, a child is not born with the ability to become a great athlete or artist, but their parents pushed them in that direction by reinforcing appropriate behaviors towards that goal. A musician will become a musician if their parents value and play music in the household, encourage them to take up an instrument, pay for lessons, and the list goes on. With that said, it seems obvious to me that children can be trained to be whatever anyone wants them to be. There is no genetic limitation.
How interesting, Dr. Watson. Now I understand that you have moved from Chicago to Johns Hopkins University, and that was under a Mr. Baldwin who asked you to come over, and he's been involved in a recent scandal. Can you tell me if this is true and how that's kind of affected your position at Johns Hopkins?
Yes, James Mark Baldwin offered me a job position at Johns Hopkins with a handsome salary increase with more benefits than Chicago. I am sad to see him leave, however, since his dismissal. I am enjoying his old position as the chair of the psychology department and the editor of the Psychological Review, and I am only 31 years old.
And how very successful you are at only 31 years old. But I do understand that your family and your wife moved with you. How are they taking that?
Well, this is a topic I did not prefer to discuss. My personal matters are not your business. If you do care so much as to ask, Mary and I are struggling. She seems to loathe my touch, and our two children are enough for me. I now fancy my work and social life.
So, talking about your work, do you have any recent developments what you're doing? I've heard some talk about emotion studies.
Emotions are only really body's psychological responses to certain stimuli. This stimulus creates changes in one's body, such as sweating according to something you have learned to be worried about or nervous about. I am working on how rage, fear, and love are produced and learned.
Sounds quite complex, John. Could you give us any information on what you're working on now?
No, it's pretty much under wraps at the moment.
Oh, okay, I understand. John Watson, the eventual founder of behaviorism, was born on a farm in Greensville, South Carolina, to a mother who was highly religious and a father who was the opposite, and eventually left the family for another woman. Watson was a brutish, nonconformist, almost delinquent boy. Once his mother died, he was free to leave seminary school and went to the University of Chicago to study philosophy, but eventually switched to study psychology. He was the youngest person to receive his PhD at the age of 25, and in 1903, that same year, he married his student Mary Ikes. After accepting his position at Johns Hopkins University, his handsome looks got the best of him and he became a womanizer. Now, who is this woman here? I wanted to find out.
Take one. Hi, it's me, Abigail. I just followed John Watson to this undisclosed room. I think is where he's doing his research project. But what I was really doing was following him alongside Rosa Lee, the alleged mistress. I'm gonna try to get the best footage I can here for you guys.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Oh
How did you
no!
get in here?
Oh no! Oh no!
This just in, real footage from what happened in the experimental room of John Watson and Rosa Lee with a baby called Little Albert has raised some eyes on Watson's child-rearing practices in ethical experimentation. Take a look.
Watson and Rayner then sought to teach Albert to fear white rats through classical conditioning. In the conditioning phase of the study, which was not filmed, the investigators struck a steel bar with a hammer whenever Albert reached for a rat, making a very loud noise that greatly upset and frightened Albert. After 6 such pairings of the loud noise and the rat, it was believed that the boy had been conditioned to fear white rats. That is, Albert was now expected to react fearfully to white rats whether the rats were paired with loud noises or not. In this next film sequence, we see Albert interacting with a white rat after the conditioning process. The investigators believed that the child's reaction during this trial demonstrated his newly acquired fear of white rats. Finally, the investigators expected that little Albert's conditioned fear of white rats would generalize to stimuli that were similar in key ways to a white rat. In this film segment, they were trying to demonstrate that the child now also reacted fearfully to similar objects, such as a rabbit, a dog, a furry object.
What an interesting experiment for the future of psychology and behaviorism. Except we don't expect that this is going to be replicated for ethical reasons. On another note, a different reporter has recorded footage on Watson's press conference, where he has been forced to resign from Johns Hopkins University. Let's find out why.
I am stunned. I cannot believe that my personal matters have managed to get in the way of my promising university career in psychological advances. I was, until now, convinced that my professional stature would have rendered me impervious to any censors of my private life. Even though I have now married Rosalie and divorced my ex-wife, I am punished because no other university will permit me to return. I can find a commercial job, but I frankly love my work. I feel that my work is important for psychology and that the tiny flame which I have tried to keep burning for the future of psychology will now be snuffed out if I go. Although I believe that this is a great mistake in the name of science, I honorably will move on to use my work in the business field. Because I am left with no choice, I will work in the field of applied psychology and advertising with J. Walter Thompson Advertising Agency.
Despite the setbacks in Watson's personal life, his contribution to psychology was revolutionary and influential. Because of his charismatic abilities, Watson was a crucial figure in the deliberate founding of behaviorism, a new school of psychology that studied observable elements of behavior, such as muscular movement and stimulus response units. This was not unlike the zeitgeist of the time that was already underway in psychology and biology. By founding behaviorism, Watson made psychology more objective in its methods and its terminology. This excited American society and laid a new framework for the future of psychology. Who is to know what would have happened if Watson had not founded behaviorism? Perhaps we still would be focused on introspection, but because of John Watson's behaviorism, psychology has changed forever. Thank you for exploring the interesting life and intelligence of John B. Watson today. Tune in next time.